Why did my boyfriend say I don't need antidepressants after the psychiatrist prescribed me some? I am scared I am overreacting, so I'm having space to myself to process how I feel. I went to the psychiatrist this morning and I am going to therapy next week after I had a panic attack that scared me into wanting to get my mental health right. He was the one who calmed me down for 30 minutes after my panic attack. Fast forward to today, I told him they prescribed me Lexapro. He is bipolar and was diagnosed with manic depression in the past. He isn't medicated currently. I understand he is just trying to give advice since this is my first time seeing any specialist. I feel sad about what he said to me. It rubbed me the wrong way. He said, "Take what they say with a grain of salt. I used to go to the psychiatrist and they prescribed me tons of different stuff and none of it worked and I was still depressed. Also, I don't think you need any antidepressants because you're so active. SSRIs are for people who are so depressed they can't get out of bed, like our close friend. He's so depressed he can't get out of bed or go to school, but you go to the gym, look for jobs, etc. I felt hurt by this because I am so active, because I am so anxious about being unproductive. I have been in these low situation and he's been there and he's seen it. It makes me feel like he doesn't really know me." He apologized later for immediately dismissing SSRIs. "But it's making me rethink our relationship a little bit. I feel no support because he didn't even ask why I wanted to take SSRIs or if I feel depressed. Instead he insisted I don't need them because I don't look depressed. We're both 24 and live together, by the way. Why do I feel as if I have to prove to him that I'm depressed? Because he's an idiot without a psychiatric degree. I also have bipolar and when I'm unmedicated it's awful. But I also feel like I don't need to be medicated because I'm all right, because I'm unaware of how awful I'm doing. He probably would do a lot better if he was actually taking his medication. You don't have to prove anything. There's severe depression, and there's high functioning. Sometimes our anxiety about failing catapults us into being a productive member of society. Please don't listen to your partner. Just because his experience is one thing or one way doesn't mean yours will be. Listen to your psychiatrist. Go to therapy, and take the meds. And tell him he needs to be more supportive. You aren't the same people, your experiences will be different. You shouldn't have to prove anything to your partner. Your boyfriend can't and shouldn't project his own psychiatric experiences onto you. If you feel taking the meds will be helpful, then that's business between you and your doctor. Keep the meds. Do the meds. Don't do the same thing that I did. My ex did the same thing to me. You don't need them. You are perfectly fine. I should have stick to my meds and I didn't. Lexapro is okay. I've taken it before. Advice from the bottom of my heart, dear stranger, stick to your meds, go to therapy. And get the help that you think you need. No one is wearing your shoes, they don't walk on your shoes. Let the boyfriend think whatever he wants to think. It's your life, your body, your decision. Good luck with everything. He needs meds and avoids them. If you take them, it highlights his own avoidance. As another post stated, you don't have to prove anything. Also, the true test of antidepressants working or not occurs when you take them. If the symptoms are reduced or absent, they work. If not, they don't work. Please don't assume anything prior to trying them. Good luck and take care. He sounds like he has had bad experiences with being prescribed drugs in the past and he probably wants to prevent you from experiencing the same thing. He may said these things without realizing how unsupportive they really are. Not to cut him too much slack, it's possible that this is more than just an oversight and he's controlling, but there's not enough details to say that definitively in my opinion. You can tell him how hurtful his comments were to you. Also, you should set the boundary that your medical treatments are ultimately your own decisions and you don't want him to criticize or stigmatize you for deciding a particular medical treatment is best. As other people said, you shouldn't have to convince him your depression is a problem, and you should listen to your doctor. He probably isn't someone to seek mental health advice from. He doesn't like medication. Fine, no one is shoveling it down his throat. But if you are seeking help, and medication helps you get where you are trying to be, fuck what he has to say. He has zero qualifications to advise others on mental health. He doesn't want you to get better. Don't give in to that idiocy. Take your meds. Your boyfriend is an idiot. No one needs to prove anything to anyone. We don't even need to prove things to ourselves. People with clinical depression often develop a whole host of dangerous coping mechanisms to keep others from noticing their depression. There are exactly two people involved in this decision, you and your psychiatrist. Please take care of yourself. SSRIs are antidepressants, but they're also commonly used for anxiety. I would look at this as a trial. See how you're feeling over the next couple weeks and evaluate if you're experiencing side effects. I'm not a doctor, but I believe the medicine keeps you from feeling as strongly. Then you're showing your brain that your triggers aren't so bad by experiencing them with less emotions. Xanax, as needed, really helped me long term. I only used it for a couple months, but 4 years later I still feel better off. I had high-functioning depression in college. I managed to show up to lectures most of the time and I completed major assignments. I was also prescribed Lexapro at night, Wellbutrin in the morning, and Seroquel for sleep as needed. My psychiatrist and I came to this combination over a couple months by trial and error. The truth is that this didn't cure my depression, especially since I didn't have a chemical imbalance. But what it did do was put me in the right headspace and physical condition to be able to take the necessary steps toward managing my mental health. 'Cause he's an unmedicated bipolar with manic depression. I expect he's one of those people who hits rock bottom, has a crisis, gets on meds and either doesn't like the way they make him feel while they're starting to work and never gets to the point they're working, or once he's on them and feeling normal decides he doesn't need them anymore. He is not you and he is not your doctor. Do what is right for you. He doesn't have to like it and you don't have to prove your depression to him or anyone. People with bipolar disorder are known to be non-compliant with their medication. They feel they don't need it or it doesn't help them. This is their illness talking. Listen to your doctor, not your mentally ill partner. For what it's worth, Lexapro really helped me. Educate yourself on what you are taking, what class of medication it is, expected side effects, etc. You will be ahead of the game. Good luck. Ps. Manic depression was the old name that was replaced with bipolar disorder. They are the same disease. Check out the book called The Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide if you want to learn more. Take care. Lexapro saved my life. If you don't feel well, listen to yourself and your psychologist. It was the best thing I did for myself. I hope you feel better soon and that you have a serious talk with your partner about him wanting to hinder your mental health for whatever reason and not wanting to support you when you need help. What often tends to happen with people who have been previously diagnosed is that they develop an "I know because I've been there" one-size-fits-all viewpoint, which isn't always the case with something as complex as individual mental health. This is most often the case with depression diagnoses where high functioning is brought into question. Source: Cognitive researcher man edit, typo. Try the meds. Give them a fair trial, which could take a couple of months. Then decide if they've been helpful to you. Then talk to your doc. Take care of you. The boyfriend can stay in his own lane. Don't listen to him about medications or anything health-related. Listen to your doctor. There are a lot of active people who suffer from some form of mental illness. Look at the famous actor Robin Williams, for example. Psychiatric medications are trial and error. I don't suffer from depression but have irritability and anxiety. It took me 20 different medications to finally get my medicine right for me. If an SSRI works for you, great. If not, then that's okay too, because there are tons of other meds out there that might help. Your boyfriend is not helpful at all and I would rethink this relationship. Can't offer relationship advice, but I can assure you that Lexapro is indicated for moderate to severe anxiety disorders. The fact that they are also used to treat depression is irrelevant. You feel like you have to prove yourself to him because that can be how stupid love is sometimes, especially when your mental health is not the best. Follow the expert advice. Take the medication. Less than 3 if boyfriend loves you. Seeing you get better will be all the proof he needs. If your improvement doesn't make him happy, well, you know what means. I guess I don't know this, but to me it sounds like he is being supportive but has a different opinion. I don't think he's saying you are well and don't need treatment, but that SSRIs specifically aren't right for you. I think he was contrasting you to your friend, not to differentiate different levels of mental health concerns, but different types, therefore needing different types of treatment. What's your boyfriend's educational background? Does he hold an MD? Is he a psychiatrist? If the answer to those questions is no, then he is thoroughly unqualified to weigh in on the subject of what medications you should be taking. Just want to put this out there, does he perhaps like being the one to calm you down? Knight in shining armor complex perhaps, and is worried that with the antidepressants you won't need him as much. You are the only expert on your experience. He doesn't get to tell you need to justify being prescribed medication, or your symptoms. His experiences not yours. You have different brains and different body chemistry. I totally get why you're upset. Maybe when you're more calm about it you can explain why what was said upset you. First of all, kudos to you for asking for help and getting it when you need it. It's not as easy as I wish it was, but I'm proud of you for seeking help anyways. Second, I think so many of us who function while depressed get the whole stigma with, well, you do XYZ, you can't be sad, which definitely isn't the case. Your boyfriend seems inconsiderate of your mental health. If you feel the medication will help, that is your decision. Don't let him talk bad about you for taking it. You have nothing to prove here. I'd personally reconsider that relationship because mental health boys, but that's just me. Because he's ignorant. Medication has saved my life. Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't have to prove diddly squat to your boyfriend. No one appointed him the official decider of valid mental illness. Tell him that you'll do whatever is necessary for your own health and well-being, and you don't need unqualified and unhelpful comments from the peanut gallery. What? He's not a doctor. Your doctor prescribed you medication. Do not listen to the YouTube epidemiologists. Because he believes he knows more than a doctor who went to school for 10+ years to be able to prescribe you these meds, apparently. Hey. So something about Lexapro specifically, it's more effective for anxiety than depression. I worked in a psychiatric clinic and discussed this at length with the DRS who worked there. It also has the least side effects for many people. If you went in after a panic attack, it makes perfect sense to be prescribed that. I've also been on it for many years and have never been so depressed I couldn't get out of bed. I have been anxious enough to be almost suicidal at my lowest, but no one knew that except my therapist and doctor. They're the ones who needed to know. Your boyfriend is very wrong. Please don't listen to him and follow your DRS advice. Do not listen to him. My ex did this to me and I became suicidal and extremely unwell and was about to be involuntarily sent to the psych wards. My partner is also bipolar and unmedicated, however he goes to therapy once a fortnight. Meds are a tool to health and wellness. Take your meds. Keep in mind, it may take time to find the right medication and the right level of medication that will work for you. It may take a while to find the right therapist. Do not give up. Don't listen to people that say you don't need meds, you just need exercise or religion or some other BS. Work with your doctor. Antidepressants didn't work for him because he is bipolar. They should not be prescribed for a bipolar person because it can exacerbate his condition. Do what you have to do. It's not your fault you are depressed, but it is your responsibility to manage it. Only you know what's good for you. I am saying this as a person on antidepressants. Good luck, BB girl. That's not how any of this works. You don't have to prove anything. Your idiot boyfriend isn't your doctor. In fact, your idiot boyfriend should be the last person you'd take advice from, considering he has his own illness that he is refusing to manage. As adults, if we have a mental disorder, it's our responsibility to manage that disorder to reduce the negative impact it has on ourselves and others. So yeah, that's like taking legal advice from someone who gets arrested habitually. You take care of you, he can either get behind that and support you, or you can send him packing. Your BFS ideology is dangerous. Just because you don't look depressed doesn't mean jack. A professional told you to take the medication. If it doesn't work, they'll adjust it. The fact he doesn't take his own meds is worrying as well. My cousin is bipolar and has gone off his meds 3 times and eventually gets hospitalized each time because of imbalances as it leaves his system and his symptoms are magnified. Try the medication, see how it makes you feel, and provide feedback to your doctor. Your boyfriend has his experiences, and he thinks he's trying to help you. But everyone is different. It's not that he doesn't respect your issues, he seems to be so caught up in his own that he's trying to push them off on you. Tell him nicely that you're going to talk with your doctors, and then change the subject. He needs to give you a chance to get better. And it may take some adjustment to your medication, but that's up to your doctors. You'll be okay, but remember the best advocate for you is you. Hi. I had a boyfriend who said the same thing about me when I started taking medication for my ADHD. I think part of it stems out of fear you'll start acting different, when in reality you're still the same, just mentally healthy. Take what he says with a grain of salt. It's your journey to be happy, not his. He's simply there to accompany you, not dictate and ridicule you for your decisions. The decision about whether or not you should be taking meds should be entirely between you and your doctor. I have had depression pretty much since I hit puberty, and the only thing for me that has been able to keep it under control is actually Lexapro. I think your boyfriend begrudges you somewhat for taking the steps to improve your mental health. I know sometimes when my depression is bad I kind of want to wallow in it, and it sometimes makes me feel even worse to see people around me being happy and productive while I feel miserable. You need to focus on your own mental health because you can treat your depression and/or anxiety and live a fulfilling life. Just look into on your own. He probably meant well. Research shows medication can many times be temporary intake. Or temporarily working. They stop working, sometimes they make things worse. Sometimes better. I always recommend 3 professional opinions in mental and physical health. There are many ways to combat depression. Medication is just one. I remember the very first I went to see a professional for mental health. They were like, "So you want medication or something? We can give you some." I was so confused. Had they even listened to what I truly said while there? I told them I don't want medication unless at my last resort. They shrugged and scheduled me an appointment to talk. Just look up research and see what makes sense to you. He thinks he knows better than someone with 8+ years of education. This sounds identical to my ex-husband. I went through the exact same thing with him, down to the same prescription. It was the first red flag I ignored. I hate being one of those people, but I wish someone had told me before I spent 10 years with him. Please think about this relationship long and hard. He may be totally different, and I hope he is, but he sounds like he is a gaslighter. Another bipolar type 2 here. We have these doctors for a reason, not just for some random chance. If your psychiatrist feels you should be on these meds, give them a chance to do what they are supposed to. If they don't work, depending where you are, you can always get your prescription changed. Your boyfriend needs to be more supportive of this. It's not his life he could potentially mess with in a bad way, it's yours. Please take your meds, they are super important to start to feel better. Go get a second opinion. I don't think your boyfriend is trying to downplay anything, but just informing you that not everyone needs antidepressants and that some doctors have an agenda for prescribing things in some countries, mainly the USA. Other countries their psyches do a lot more testing and appointments before prescribing drugs. I agree with him if it's your first time seeing someone and they have already prescribed you something, red flag on the doctor, go see someone more reputable. I'm sorry I seem to have missed the part where you mentioned your boyfriend has an MD. So there are hundreds of medication and therapy combinations for mental health. Not everyone will work with everyone's internal chemistry. It can be a long process to find something that works. Weaning on and off of medication takes time. Adjusting to new medication dosage, time of day taken, diet changes, etc. The biggest reason people give up a program or medication is it doesn't have instant relief. A good doctor will help you temper your expectations. I suggest if they haven't to have you track your symptoms as you try a medication. They should work with you to trial and error a medication before moving on to something else. And don't take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a glass of water. I was unmedicated for a long time with really bad anxiety and depression. After a really bad anxiety episode, I ended up caving and starting Lexapro. Made a world of a difference, still not perfect, but much better. Lexapro isn't a huge mind-altering drug, you'll notice it, but it'll help smooth out your highs and lows. SSRIs got me to a much, much happier place. My wife was so happy with the new outlook and attitude. Of course, the first one torched my libido, so that was the end of that one. Nothing comes between our physical intimacy. There are many, you may have to run through a few before you find one that works well with acceptable side effects. Oh, and your boyfriend is an idiot.